Okay, so good evening, everyone. My name is Ian Gonzalez, and today is Pi Day. So welcome to my short lecture on Introduction to Power BI. I thought that I used to say it used to be March 14, but I realized, hey, today's a special day, so turn it into Pi Day, 3/14. A little bit about myself. So that's me, my wife, and my two daughters. This was taken 2 years ago, so they're slightly bigger. The eldest is in kindergarten now. Um, I am a mechanical engineer by education, more than 20 years ago. I finished my executive MBA in 2008. I have an advanced diploma in purchasing supply, which I got from the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply from the UK. I also have a certificate in business analytics from Harvard. This is my 20th year of working in oil, gas, aviation, and most recently in the chemicals industry. Like Tim said, I've been an instructor for Supply Chain Canada. It's a professional body that hands out the designations for supply chain professionals since 2014. And I'm told, Alan Toe said that I'm actually the longest continuous instructor. So that's awesome. And I haven't changed my rates. I really should ask for an increase. I also teach supply chain and analytics at SAIT and MRU. Currently, with MRU, it's statistics, and believe me, it's one of the most challenging things to get a bunch of 20-somethings to be interested in statistics, but somehow I make it work. But that's the most important thing about me. I am truly passionate about those things: data visualization, data storytelling, and data literacy. So that's one of the reasons I'm here, because I'm promoting all these things, especially the data literacy part. And that's my personal email if anybody wants to reach out. Or you can just find me on LinkedIn. So I'd like to open this by saying about 5, 6 years ago, the skill of data visualization, all right, was one of the hottest things in Canada. If you wanted to be an analyst or any data professional, data engineer, data scientist, manager of business analytics, knowing data visualization was a plus. But that was 5 years ago. Now, it's an expectation. So what I did today, I went onto LinkedIn and I just searched for jobs like data analyst, analytics manager, business intelligence director, data engineer, senior data scientist, and reporting analyst. This is what I found. And this was as of this morning. Job description that says data visualization. So an ideal candidate has blah, blah, blah. This one says skills associated with this job, data visualization. Job description, data visualization. All over, every job I found, data visualization was a requirement for the job. That wasn't the case 5 years ago. It was just a plus. Now, if you want to make a career in the analytics space, you gotta have data visualization. It's a relatively new skill. See, non-stop, data visualization everywhere. So, 5 years ago, data visualization, although it was known, the tool wasn't yet. Hardly anyone has ever heard of Power BI. But now it's everywhere. Yeah, join any company in Canada, odds are the software they use for data visualization is Power BI. But back when I was first teaching for Supply Chain Canada, I told my students that supply chain professionals, they back then they did, and they still do today, they work with data all the time. And for most of their needs, there was only one tool for the job. Can anyone guess what that was in 2015? I think I heard Excel. That's the answer. Microsoft Excel. Excel for everything. Okay? I even had a little slide in that picture of me like 10 years ago. And I taught Excel for SCM. It was one of the first Excel courses for supply chain professionals in the country back then. And that's a picture of me with my students at the U of A in 2015. And I told them this. You're a supply chain professional. You want to work with data. And if you wanted to do analysis, okay, that was your need for data, you had Excel. If you wanted to do data gathering, you had Excel. You wanted to do data gathering outside of your company, still Excel. You wanted to build a database, maybe, a small one, Excel. You wanted to build a larger database, not Excel. That's Microsoft Access. And then we have other things like getting feedback, Excel, data visualization, Excel, data transformation cleansing. Okay, this is where it gets tricky. You could use Excel, but you can also use something called SQL. And maybe some of you know that even today. It's a very old language, but it still has its place in 2024. Or if you were really good as a coder, you could do data cleansing and transformation with something called VBA, or Visual Basic for Applications. If you wanted to do something more advanced, like data modeling, SQL. You wanted to build FAQs, maybe, frequently asked questions, Excel. You wanted to automate stuff, right? Visual Basic for Applications. If you wanted to build a custom app, something that Excel or Word or PowerPoint wasn't designed for, you could do that with Visual Basic for Applications. And if you wanted to do something really advanced, like artificial and machine learning, well, you were out of luck because there was no such tool back then. You had to be a real data scientist and program it from scratch. Fast forward to today. The data needs still the same. Okay, whether you're a supply chain professional or anyone who works with data, which is essentially any worker really, the software landscape has changed a bit. Okay, for analysis, thank goodness it's still Excel. Excel is still the #1 tool in the world for analysis. Okay, for data gathering, it's no longer Excel, it's SharePoint. But if you wanted to do data gathering outside of your company, you have to use a tool that everyone's using. So it's still Excel. Databases, Excel or Access. Or if you want to do it on the cloud, Microsoft has a product called Azure SQL. Getting feedback, there's a specific tool for that called MS Forms. And the topic of tonight, data visualization, it's no longer Excel. It's a tool called Power BI. Okay, can anyone guess what the BI stands for? That's right, business intelligence. Yeah. Data transformation and cleansing, a tool called Power Query. So you can see Microsoft really diversifying here. Data modeling, Power Query, FAQs, and now chatbots, the tool called Power Virtual Agents. Every time you go to a website and a prompt says, "Hi, how can I help you?" It's no longer people anymore. 99%, it's that, Power Virtual Agent. It's so good right now, you can't even tell that it's a chatbot. You'd actually think you're conversing with a person. For process automation, there's this wonderful tool called Power Automate, where you can literally ask the tool to take over your mouse and keyboard and control anything. If you wanted to build custom applications, even that, Microsoft has a product for you, something called Power Apps. And if you wanted to do machine learning or artificial intelligence, here's the surprising bit. You can use Power BI for that. After all, the BI part is business intelligence, right? And so if we focus on two things there, Power BI and Power Query, and I intentionally left Power Query up there because a lot of people don't know this. When you get Power BI, you also get Power Query, all right? And as I will maybe demo in a bit, Power BI is more than just data visualization. It can do all of the data cleansing, data transformation, data prep to your heart's desire. And when that's all done, you can turn your data, your clean data, into pretty pictures, into charts, into visuals, and the all-popular dashboard, okay? So what's all this hype about dashboards? When you enter the workforce and you do something with data, or maybe you call yourself an analyst, odds are someone is going to ask you to build a dashboard, right? Everyone does nowadays. Okay, and I just like to have you think about the dashboards that you see every day. Every vehicle that you operate, car, motorcycle, airplane, maybe boat, they all have dashboards. Okay, you wouldn't dare drive a car on the highway with a broken dashboard, right? Okay, because you need to see how your car is doing, how you are doing on the road to keep you and your passengers safe. Well, with businesses, it's the same thing. They want to know the status of where they are, where they're headed, Are they making the right decisions? Okay. And they also have things called dashboard, although it's not something with dials. It's on a flat screen, but it serves the exact same purpose. It tells business leaders how they're doing. Are they making the right decisions? Peter Drucker, a very famous management consultant and thought leader, said that what gets measured gets managed. Okay? And Power BI was born from the fact that Excel wasn't good enough. Okay, there was something wrong with Excel. It's great for analysis, but the people who needed the result of the analysis, the business leaders, the business decisions, weren't geeky enough to understand what comes out of Excel. They needed something a lot simpler to consume. They needed data on the go. They needed to make decisions on the train, in their cars. So data had to be presented on tablets, on mobile phones. And Excel wasn't up to the task. So that's why Power BI was born in 2015. So what is Power BI? All right. This is Microsoft's official definition. Power BI is a suite of business and analytical tools. It's a suite, okay? So it's not one thing. It's actually many things. And they all work together to turn unrelated sources of data into coherent, visually immersive, and interactive insights. Remember that word, insights. And so Power BI, it lets you easily connect to your data sources, and then you can visualize them, and you can discover them, and more importantly, you can share it with anyone you want in a very, very convenient way. Okay? It's as easy as opening a browser, and I can share you my dashboard or my results of analysis. So you might have heard that Power BI is like a dashboarding tool. I'm here to tell you it's way more than that. Okay? I've pretty much automated my entire workflow with just Power BI, and data is my bread and butter. In my current company, when I wake up in the morning all the way till I go home at night, it's all data. And I'm at heart a very lazy person. I don't want to work hard. I want to work fast. I want to work smart, and Power BI lets me do that. Okay, you might not know these guys, but there's this consulting group called Gartner. And what they do is they rank all kinds of software all over the world, and they have certain categories, like they have categories for data science, categories for reporting, and in the category of analytics and business intelligence, from 2021 to 2023, Microsoft is way up there. There's not even a close second. And they're referring to Power BI here. Power BI is the #1 tool for analytics and business intelligence. Note that it's not data visualization, it's actually business intelligence. Because again, Power BI is far more than just a dashboarding tool. And the 2024 report hasn't come out yet, but when it does, I'm expecting Power BI to be even more in the lead, because they just introduced Microsoft Fabric, and you might have heard this, ChatGPT. So Microsoft owns ChatGPT, OpenAI, and they've integrated, they rebranded it as Copilot. But behind Copilot, it's ChatGPT. It's part of Power BI, right? And very soon, it's also going to be part of Excel and PowerPoint and Word. You will work with AI in the very, very near future. Actually, I'm already doing it right now. I have special permissions for my company to do so, but eventually this will become open to the public. And I've gotten so addicted to it, and I'm not talking about making funny pictures. I'm actually asking AI every day how to write code to do this. How can I automate the opening of my ERP system and downloading reports? All right. If there's something even I can't figure out how to do in Power BI, I open ChatGPT. So how do I do this feature? How do I get the values of this column and rename that, blah blah blah? And it's so seamless. And I've discovered, and this is a little tip for you, when working with AI, Copilot, ChatGPT, don't treat it like a search engine. Treat it like a person. You will be shocked at how much better the results come out. Like when you ask something of Power BI Copilot or anything, Copilot Excel, or even just ChatGPT, when it gives you an answer, give it feedback. Say, I like that, or that didn't quite work for me. and you will be shocked at what it comes back with. It will improve on that. It remembers your conversation. Yeah, and I'm a little bit digressing here, but Power BI does all that. Okay. So when I said that Power BI is more than one thing, all right, here are the three biggest components of Power BI. There's a desktop app, like most things, right? That's your essentially Power BI designer. That's where you build stuff, build reports. And when it's done, when it looks good, and you're ready to share this stuff with your coworkers or your friends, you publish that report, put it in the cloud, in a space called Power BI Service. Okay, this is how you share, and that's how sharing dashboards become easy, because when it's on the cloud, the people who need to consume your dashboard don't need special software anymore. They just need a browser. So they open Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Firefox, and they can see your Power BI reports. And then for the people on the go, and that's almost everyone, there are even free Power BI mobile apps. Okay, and as a bonus, Microsoft is trying to really push the mobile apps. For iOS, Apple devices, it's actually integrated with Siri, which means you're on the train. As long as your voice isn't too loud, you can talk to Siri and ask it questions about your report, and it will answer. It will give you visuals and charts. Right? That stuff was science fiction 5 years ago, but now it's all over the place. Okay, so this is, in as simple terms as I can make it, how one works with Power BI. You have data, all right, and your data could be anything. It could be text files, it could be Excel files, it could be website information, all right? I once connected Power BI to Facebook, and I could actually track people who were checking me out. And yeah, you could do really scary things with it. With the kinds of data you can connect to. Power BI seamlessly connects to LinkedIn and all, and foreign exchange websites. Any website with data on it, Power BI can extract that data. It's like magic, right? But I usually work with the boring stuff, Excel files and text files. You take that data and you visualize it, okay? But it doesn't end with visualization, all right? The whole point of visualization is so that you can turn your visuals into insights. That is always the goal of data visualization, all right? In fact, I will end my presentation tonight with something more evolved than data visualization. And I would call it, this is the hottest skill now in the market, something called data storytelling, all right? It's the perfect marriage of art and science and communication, okay? And having that on your resume, hot tip, that'll get you noticed. Data storytelling. Because a lot of people nowadays can say, yeah, I'm great at analysis. I can do Excel. I can do Power BI. Very, very few can say, I can turn all that stuff into data stories. And data stories is how businesses run. It's how decisions are made. Okay? So how is Power BI, all right? At this point, I've given you a pretty good picture of what it is. But let's get technical. How is it different from good old Excel? Number one, visualization, of course. Excel has got, 17 built-in charts. Power BI has hundreds of charts because, and I love Microsoft for doing this, they made it open source. They said, anybody, any programmer in the world that can make custom visuals, have at it. You can sell your stuff or even offer it for free on Power BI, right? So when I wrote this slide last year, hundreds. It probably is in the thousands now because new charts get added every day, all right? Interactivity, right, which is a must for everything. We don't like flat interfaces anymore. We want to play with our data. We want to explore stuff. Excel is lousy at that. And the way you do interact with Excel, pivot tables, scares most people. But with Power BI, it's just buttons and clicks. If you know how to use a website, you can use a dashboard. They've made it that easy. Data size, okay, for you data geeks out there, you might know that with Excel, you can't go more than 1 million rows. And in today's big data world, it is so easy to, to connect to data that is far larger than 1 million rows. So Excel hits that brick wall. With Power BI, you can go up to like 10 gigabytes worth of data. So trillions of data points. no problem. It's the limitation is almost, the limitations of your computer. Shareability, I did mention that. It's so easy to share stuff that you build out in Power BI. And my favorite bit, right, for lazy people, automation. And I'm, again, at heart, a very lazy person. I really want to go home early and play my video games. And I can't do that if I don't automate my work. If anyone's interested in PSVR games, talk to me. I love VR. Okay, anyway, how do I get started with Power BI, all right? Here's the good news. It's free. It's free for all of you, okay? In fact, if you sign up with a student email, you'll get even more features than the regular person that just has a Gmail or Yahoo Mail. So you just go to Microsoft.com and search for Power BI, or if you're in a Windows system, go to the Microsoft Store app. All right, you can even do that now if you're connected, and just download Power BI. All right, for most people, the free stuff, you have to be on either a student account or actually no, they've made it free for everyone. I think though, if you have a student account, you get a little bit more than the regular Power BI. All right, then you just install it. All right, and like most Microsoft applications, you will see things like the ribbon, the set of tools. You'll see pages. Microsoft spent a lot of time and money into making this familiar to people. They didn't want to introduce a tool where people would need to take courses or read books on how to use it. You will feel at home. As long as you've had some experience with Microsoft Excel, maybe, or PowerPoint, Power BI will feel familiar to you. Okay, so I won't go too deep into this, but once you're in Power BI, the first step you usually take is to connect to data. So you tell Power BI where your data is living, right? Most commonly Excel files, but you can also connect to, well, it's not 40 plus anymore, it's like 60 plus kind of data sources, including web pages, data warehouses, ERP systems like SAP, Oracle. Yeah, you'll get sick of that when you go to work. I promise you. But yeah, Power BI can connect to all that. And then, what's this? So Power BI will auto-detect what it can connect to. There's a little bit of AI built into it. All right, again, I don't want to teach you exactly how Power BI works, but I want to show you what Power BI looks like. All right, so that's the main interface of Power BI. And like all Microsoft applications, there's a ribbon on top, all right, with tools. In fact, it's got the very familiar menus like Home, Insert, Layout. Right? So if you've built PowerPoints before, easy. Okay, and then there's a blank canvas, a blank space. This is your designer mode. This is where you start drawing your stuff. This is where you can, with clicks and drags, turn data into pretty pictures. Okay, and then there are other buttons here like, there's data view, so I can look behind my charts and what's the data driving it. I can do data modeling. I can do filtering, and then over here there's like those little icons. It's a little hard to see, but those are the built-in visuals, which is already more than what's in Excel. But somewhere there's also a button to go to something called the marketplace, and that's where you find the thousands of visuals that people from all over the world build. Right? And maybe you've seen on your social media or TikTok these animated charts, like they call it the racing bar charts. That's all Power BI, what you're looking at. All of these visuals that are moving, animated, interlinked with images and video. It's not part of the built-in stuff, but it's so easy to get them on the marketplace. And most of the stuff on the marketplace is free. Okay, and then on the right side, you have a pane that says, hey, here's the columns of data that I've connected with. Okay, and then like Excel, like PowerPoint, if you want to build pages, all right, paginated reports are very popular nowadays. Like what I mean by that is I have a dashboard or report with many pages, not just one. Yeah, you can just simply click, add them over there. And there are multiple ways to create visuals on Power BI. All right, I won't go into detail of how, but it's as easy as clicking and dragging. Okay, and because there's a little bit of AI in Power BI, you can just simply select what data you want to visualize, and Power BI will try to guess what kind of visual you want, and it will auto-select for you. See how convenient that is? I say I want to visualize how much money I'm spending in these categories. I just tell Power BI by checking the boxes on the right, I want to visualize that. And Power BI will say, hey, I think a donut chart would be nice for that. And it'll create it for you. Okay? Okay, that looks easy. So can I like now make a dashboard in 5 minutes? So I'm pointing Power BI to a data set, which is an Excel file. Right? So it's connecting to it right now. It's studying my data. It auto-detects, okay, I can pick up this data set or that data set. I'll pick up this one. Okay, and just hit load. It gives me a little preview of what my data looks like. So I hit load, and now all that data from Excel is being transferred onto Power BI. Okay, we're building a connection here. Okay, all right, 700 rows loaded. So now in my data pane, I've got a bunch of fields, and it might be a little bit hard to see, but I'll read to you some of the fields. Sales, cost of goods sold, profit, number of units sold, city, country, product name, discount band. So obviously this is retail information. They sell certain products. All right, and let's say I want to know the profit by country. Okay, this is a multinational company. All right. Okay, so maybe let's do that with a map. Okay, so I'm going to put a map here. Okay, so and that map now just becomes a little object that I can resize. I can move around. This is where the art stuff comes in play. I just do my layouts, and I say I need country and profit. Okay, and now, just by the names of the country, it kind of figured out, all right, so there's going to be sales in Canada, the US, Mexico, France, and Germany. Okay? Or maybe I changed my mind. I don't want this in the map. I want this in the bar chart. Okay, I'll just click bar chart. There we go. Then I have now my countries down here. Okay, or maybe I want a horizontal bar chart, maybe a donut chart. Okay, and then let's say I want more information here. Let's put a this horizontal bar chart, and this time let's show the sales by product. So sales by product. There we go. See, I'm not typing any formulas here. I'm just clicking the data that I want, and Power BI is making my visuals for me. Okay, but I'll make one more, because I think I still have time in my 5-minute promise. All right, let's do a line chart. No, not line chart. Maybe a vertical column chart over here, and maybe let's do cost of goods sold by year. Okay. Okay, year is on my x-axis. All right, there we go. Okay, now let me show you what Power BI can do that Excel does not. So I got 3 charts up here, 3 bars, okay? When you do this in Excel, every visual that you create there is independent from each other. They're not talking to each other. But in Power BI, it's the exact opposite. Everything you put on the page, they're related to each other. Like, watch what happens when I click on France, this blue link over here. You see that? Now it shows you the portion of products and profit by year attributable to France. Okay, what is it for Mexico? Wait, what color is Mexico here? Mexico is pink, so this one. See that? Okay, what about clicking over here now? What this product called VVT, where is it sold? You see that? Every chart, everything that I click, all the other charts just interact with each other. Okay, this is the fun part about Power BI. You give your users the ability to explore data however they wish. Right? And again, I'm not doing anything complicated. I drew some pretty pictures up there, and you're just clicking on things. Okay? Let me show you a more advanced dashboard, okay? And this time we'll do it. No, not now, not now. Not now, UCP government. Okay. I recently published a sample dashboard to the cloud, to Power BI service. So let's experience dashboard interaction as if I was a customer, okay? So I just open a website, all right? And I go to powerbi.com, and I find this dashboard called Superstore. Okay, not the real Canadian Superstore. This is actually a very popular free data set called Superstore for people to practice dashboarding. Okay, let me just maximize this full screen. So there's a fake company called Superstore. And then it's a dashboard with 5 pages. Sales and profit 2, sales targets, order to ship, popular products. So let's look at sales and profit. Okay, so I get dashboard with navigation buttons over here, filters, there's a map, there's a big metric over here, and then there's even highlights. Okay, check this out. I want to know more about whatever this big circle is. I can put my mouse over it, and it gives me context. Ah, that's California, and California is making the most sales in Los Angeles. That would be the bar over there. Then in San Francisco. Then what if I put my mouse over this one? This one is Minnesota. I'm just hovering my mouse and it's giving me information. And then check this out, the filtering thing. Let's say I want to look only at central USA. So I click a checkbox over here. See that? So Power BI zooms into all my cities in central USA and I get all the context I need on that. Okay, and I'll show you what the other pages look like. So what about sales and profit too? Then I can compare sales with profit numbers. I can there are heat maps over here where the more green the number is, the better it is. The redder the number, these are bottom 5 states by profit percent. I can see which products are doing bad and which ones are doing well. So in this case, tables aren't giving me any profit, negative 9%. Binders are doing well, 15%. Okay, and then I can see with this is just more charts, but I want to show you this one. Like literal speedometers. This is where dashboards got its name, right? So even if you couldn't read the stuff, you know how to interpret a speedometer. So you look at the needle and it says, I'm in the red zone. Something's not good in those areas, right? And then, more stuff like this last page, popular products. So now I can drill into what's making me money. Okay, and I can say, and this is for the whole U.S. operations. But if I wanted to focus, let's say maybe on Western USA, for there it's binders and staples. In the South, it's easy staple paper. People like staples. Okay, more staples. Okay, that's a terrible example. All right, people like staples. Okay, but I just wanted to make the point that it's so easy to interact with the dashboard. It took me a couple of hours to build this because I did spend the time trying to have a color theme, making it look friendly. So some design thought I put into there, making sure there are no hard corners. I round the corners just like the stuff on my iPhone. And then I make it so that people can easily find the filters. They can use their drop downs for, let's say, years. And that's the fun stuff that a data visualizer does, right? It's so if you're interested in the arts or visual design, you will do well as a data visualizer. Okay. All right. Let's. So that was my quick demo of what you can do in Power BI. Okay. But what's going on here? Oh yeah. Okay. But it's more nuanced than that. Okay. Because in my example, both Superstore and the stuff I built, the data was already clean. I already did the hard work of cleaning. In the real world, data is rarely clean. Okay, it's full of errors, full of missing data, right? And in my example, that was only connecting to one data set. In the real world, you can be connecting to 20 data sets, 30 data sets, right? And that's why data visualizers, data engineers, they make the big bucks because not a lot of people can do that stuff. But if you know the tool like Power BI, it becomes easy. All right? Okay, and now I'm going to transition into my next topic because I do want to make this point. A bunch of visuals without a purpose, without a plan, a master plan that ties them all together is just that. It's just a bunch of visuals. That's not a dashboard. Okay, just because I have the ability to put pretty pictures on a blank page doesn't mean that I'm a dashboarder. Okay, at least not by my standards, right? So how do you make an effective dashboard? And when I say effective, a dashboard that people will want to visit every day, a report that leaders get addicted to. Well, the answer is, number 1, by being purposeful with your visuals, and 2, using the skill of data storytelling. This is the next part of my presentation where this is data visualization evolved. And truly, this in the year 2024, that is the hottest skill right now in the data world. Very, very few people have it. There are very few books out there that you can read. But once you get more and more into it, it's addictive, really, data storytelling. Okay, so on the part about being purposeful with your visuals, I have this little tool here where if you're a data visualizer or data storyteller, you actually ask yourself the question, what do I want to show? Okay, and maybe I want to show, let's say, a comparison of things. Okay, is it a comparison over time or among items? And then this little handy cheat sheet will tell you which visual to use. Okay, and then you see it also for other things. So let's say I want to show patterns, composition, a process maybe, or distribution. Hey Tim, are we going to give everyone a copy of this? I don't mind. Yeah, we'll give you guys all a copy of this. So if someday you want to try your hand at data visualizing, there's your cheat sheet. But again, it all starts with asking yourself the all-important question: what message am I trying to say? All right. I can easily spot an amateur in data visualization when their first question is, what visuals can I make? Because you're presented with this new tool, it's always fun to say, ooh, what can I design with my data? What stuff can I download from the marketplace? And what awesome visuals can I make? And that's actually the wrong approach. You start with, okay, I have a bunch of data, and I need people to make decisions on my data. What message can I tell them? And then I built this cheat sheet for a Power BI course I teach, actually, and my students find this one of the most important shortcuts to doing the work. Okay, we back up with Simulu. All right. So the next bit is it's not Power BI anymore, but I will showcase to you what a data storyteller does. Okay, I consider myself a data storyteller at my company because I know that real value doesn't come from making pretty dashboards. That's my springboard. That's step one. The real value is how can I inspire people to action? And data storytelling was born from the fact that visuals alone do nothing. Okay, you have to do something else with data visualization. So, okay, enter Simulu. All right, he says he must be a team leader of some sort. Listen up, guys. The boss wants insights. What can we do? We can put together a dashboard. Oh yeah, with lots of insightful charts. We have so many insights in our data. I just know it. Don't forget insightful KPIs. The more, the better. Okay. Maybe some of you have heard this, corporate bingo. Right? These really tired things like, let's all think out of the box. Let's get our ducks in a row. Let's attack the low-hanging fruit. I want all my rock stars and let's take this offline. Eventually, I think there's going to be a new one up there. Insights. It's so abused nowadays. Everyone uses the word insight as a substitute for anything that sounds important. Okay, but I'm giving you a really valuable lesson here. Knowing what a real insight is at the very heart of data storytelling. Okay, bingo. All right, so here's a generalization that is always, for me, proven true. Data storytelling is the key to making data-driven decisions. Businesses want data-driven decisions, okay? But at the very heart of data storytelling is knowing how to find and present insights. Power BI is your tool, but insights, that's a skill only humans can do. Not even ChatGPT can do this, all right? So, wait, what's going on here? All right, yeah. There was supposed to be a cartoon that kind of explains this, but I think we'll just jump straight into the point. I would say the definition of an insight over here, and that is an insight should have three things. Okay, so when you're into data visualization, you have to find these three things. Number one, a shift in understanding. In other words, though not the what of things, but the why of things. Okay, people understand events, phenomena, when they know the reason behind it. Can you use Power BI to show people why things happen, not what happened? Next, an unexpected reason. It's got to be a game changer. Okay? Because if people see something coming in from a mile away, do you think they'll be driven to action? No, they'll just say, I knew that was coming. But if you show them that maybe your data is caused by something that no one's ever thought about, or that your data is correlated with another event that nobody's looking at, then you've got something unexpected. That's what's going to get people's bums out of their seats. And finally, an insight must align with what you care about. Okay? Because people are only driven to action if it concerns them. Okay? So you don't make dashboard on things that you think are cool. It's got to be something that affects you, your boss, your departmental goals, right? It should matter to you, to your audience. And when you have all three ingredients, and only when you have all three ingredients, something happens. People are inspired to action. And then what you actually have is an insight. Believe me, it is difficult to find insights. In fact, even me, and I've been doing this for years, it's rare that I find insights. Okay? But for me, I celebrate it. Every time I'm given an assignment or some report to present, and I do find an insight, I really, it's a big deal. Okay? So, let's talk about the practical side of things. How can we find insights? All right? And how do we present it properly so that when we make our dashboards or even just good old PowerPoint reports, we're using data storytelling? Number one, that shift in understanding thing, the why of things. My advice is to use more of these why visuals. What are why visuals? All right, in all of my years of experience and the hundreds of charts I'm familiar with, I can kind of classify them really into just two boxes: your what, where, when visuals and your why visuals. The what, where, when visuals are what most people put on their dashboards. They're your horizontal bar chart, your column chart, your pie chart, XY scatter, even the fancy speedometers. They're just why, what, where, and no, sorry, no, not why. What, where, when. Okay, and they're great for showing things like comparisons, distributions, compositions, performance. In other words, the status of things. Right? This is what the world is most used to. When you see a dashboard, that's probably what you're going to get. All right? And they give snapshots of where the company is now. And they're great at giving context to why visuals, but alone they only answer those questions: what, where, when. What you really should be putting in your reports are why visuals. And they're these things: the waterfall chart, the bridge chart, okay, the timeline, the area chart, and even the humble line chart if you're able to show trends, forecasts, and anomalies. You know why? Because unlike those charts on the left side, why visuals, all of them, tell a story. They explain things, they explain variance, and they show change over time. Right? And if you're doing it right, it's usually accompanied with annotations, like little explanations, little blurbs that say, this was an unexpected increase in attrition, and we think it's caused by this. Right? And they work best when you have time series data, which is, everyone's doing that anyway. You're measuring things over weeks and days and months. And you know the best part about this little bit of advice, this using why visuals? It's not even my opinion. All right? Open no, let me ask you, what is the most important financial report of any company? What is it called? The most important financial report. Eh? Which is part of balance sheet. Yes, also part of some. Yes, the financial statements. Again, it's part of this really big report that, their annual report. It's called an annual report. Okay, this is what the shareholders get every year, and that kind of tells people the valuation of the company. Are they doing well? Are they doing not? Should I invest? Should I not? Okay. And in the most important part of any company's financial report, it's usually called the manager's notes. What do you find? Here's my old company, Suncor. You see a bridge chart, a waterfall chart. In fact, it's the only chart you see in the managerial notes. I look at Cenovus, another popular oil and gas company in Alberta. Bridge chart again. I look at Shell. It's a global energy company. Bridge chart. Then I pivot away from oil and gas and I go to the automotive. That's Volkswagen. Bridge chart or waterfall chart. Pharmaceutical, Pfizer, waterfall chart. Construction, Caterpillar, waterfall chart. They're all why visuals. None of these are what visuals. So you know the lesson I learned from that is the most important people in a company all have chosen why visuals, not what visuals, to convey the most important messages to the shareholders. This is the stuff that will determine the share price of the company, whether they go bankrupt or not, right? And they're using why visuals. So why is it that everyone else who creates dashboards, they stay away from why visuals? Why are they so, addicted to these bar charts? See, that's opportunity for you, right? The rest of the world seems to be addicted to the common pie chart and bar chart when the answer is right under your noses. Look at any company that you admire. If they're a publicly traded company, look at the financial notes. Odds are you will find why visuals, not what visuals. Okay, so what about the second one? The unexpected reason. Okay, arguably this is the hardest criteria to fulfill because it takes a little bit of smarts to do this. All right. Here's a statement that you will probably agree with. Unexpected data points are sometimes revealed through data visualization, right? You can see anomalies when on a chart, right? However, unexpected reasons can only be found through analysis. Okay, there's this myth about insights that when you visualize things, you're already being insightful, or you're showing insights. I'll tell you now that the act of data visualization is nothing more than turning numbers into pictures. There's nothing insightful about it. You will never get insights from just plain using Power BI even. You got to do something else. You got to analyze the data, okay? And not just any analysis. You have to do some special analysis like associations, correlations, causal relationships. Will this come out in the quiz? Maybe. Right? So associations is a categorical connection with data. Correlations are a numerical connection with data. And causal relationship is, well, one variable directly affects the other. It's a cause and effect. Okay? And I think that's actually amazing because to do those kind of analysis means you have to get out of your shell. If you belong to, let's say, the finance department, maybe the insight isn't in the finance data. Maybe you need to speak to people in maintenance, right? If you're a supply chain professional and you're going crazy at looking at your spend data, your supply chain data, maybe the insight isn't there. Maybe you have to make friends with people in safety, right, or operations. This criteria behooves you to form relationships outside of your department. And I think that's one of the most cherished skills of data storytellers. They're actually good at forming relationships also. Business relationships, okay? All right. And when you dive into this, all right, the correlations, associations, and causal relationships, maybe you'll need to know things like regression analysis, coefficient of correlation, coefficient of determination, p-values, residual plots. Ugh. Yes, and they're meant to be scary. Okay, people study this stuff in university, but good news is they're easy to learn. There's so many free stuff on YouTube, or even ChatGPT, Copilot can help you with this. Just ask it, how do I do linear regression? You'll be amazed at the free lesson you're going to get. So all this stuff is learnable, okay? And here are other kinds of analysis that will help you find unexpected reasons. The detection of outliers, finding patterns or seasonality, model fitting and variance analysis, all right? Okay, and finally, how do you make sure that your visuals aligns with what you and your stakeholders care about? This is my favorite one. Here is how most people approach working with Power BI or visualization. They start with, what visuals can I make with my data? Yeah. When they do that, they completely skip over their stakeholders. They just work alone, and eventually they're going to make a dashboard, sure, but it's going to be aimless and more of a data dump. All right? So absolutely no insights are going to come from that. So scratch that. That's not the way to do it. How about we start with our stakeholders? We ask them from the onset, what do you want? What do you need to see in your dashboard? Sounds much better, right? But there's a problem with asking this question, right? Ask anybody, what do you want? All right, what do you expect the answer to be? They're going to say, I want this, I want that, I also want this, can you do this? Ooh, this would be nice. Gary would like this. This would really pop. Can you please add this feature? The list goes on, because that's the human condition. You ask anybody, what do you want? They will say, I want everything, right? Have any one of you tried to buy a car at the auto dealer? Have you ever heard any salesman say, what do you want? That's one of the dumbest things that any salesman could possibly ask, because of course they're going to say, oh, I want the best. I want everything. I want 1,000 horsepower. I want the air-conditioned seat, LED lights everywhere. And if that's your approach to report building or dashboarding, you can still build a report, sure, but it's going to be overly complex, trying to please, and ultimately uninspiring. So again, no insights. So what's the magic approach? What's the right question to ask? And I am actually so shocked that I've worked in 6 large companies. Nobody seems to ask this question. What decisions do you make? That's the magic question. Don't ask them what they want or what they need. You ask them, what decisions do you make, Mr. Vice President? Or, hey, boss, don't tell me what your problems are. Tell me how you make decisions. Because something amazing happens to people when you ask them this question. They know exactly how to answer that. Whether you're a new hire or you're the owner of the company, you know what decisions you make in a day. And there's so few, you can even count them with one hand. Nobody makes more than 5 critical decisions a day. Okay? And I'm not talking about, I decided to wake up, I decided to have cereals in the morning. Those are micro decisions. I'm talking about critical decisions like, how do I make sure my people go home safe? Who do I need to call to fix a problem? Right? Which of my suppliers do I need to push harder? Those are critical decisions, and everyone only makes a handful of them. So imagine, you're the report designer, and from the very beginning, that's the question you ask, like Champagne Papi over there. And you design your dashboard targeting those decisions. Okay, not wants or needs, but those decisions. Your dashboard is actually going to be simple with just a few targeted visuals that will deliver exactly what they need. Think about it. What's the best thing any employee can do in the company? It's to help someone make a decision. That's what's going to get you your promotion, your bonus, right? Whether you're a hard worker or a smart worker, as long as you can help someone make a decision, there's nothing higher on the happiness list of things you can do. And that's how you make sure that your dashboard aligns with what people care about. All they want to do every day is help making decisions. And as long as you're also thinking about the unexpected reason and shift in understanding, then and only then do you have insights in your dashboard and you can do your happy dance. Don't ask me for a demo. Okay, so well, that's it for my. There's more to data storytelling than this, of course. I mean, there are things like, can I apply story structures and shapes to my messaging? Right? There are certain persuasion techniques. A lot of these I've actually been applying to you right now. But again, if I had to tell you just one thing tonight, it's that be relentless in the search for insights. Okay, because that's the best thing a data visualizer and data storyteller can do. Find and present insights. So if you want to, if you're curious about the books that I read that help me become a better analyst, data visualizer, and data storyteller, for visual design, I love these books. Slidology is an old one by Nancy Duarte. She's actually one of the consultants, design consultants of Silicon Valley. Some of the stuff you see on Instagram and Facebook, nobody uses Facebook anymore, but Snapchat, Instagram, all the changes that you've seen in design, she was a big part of that, Nancy Duarte. And she wrote this book more than 10 years ago called Slidology. It's actually a PowerPoint book, but I use it for design, for any design work, because of all the design books I've read, this one's the easiest to read. Right? It's almost technical. She breaks each topic into small chunks and tells you the effect of colors, How can I emphasize and downplay things, right? How can I use just font sizes to get a message across, right? It's amazing. And then the next two, it's more of neuroscience, right? So the 100 things every designer that needs to know about people. I love this book because it's so easy to read, and it tells you how designers produce anything, physical products, websites, reports, based on how people naturally react to their world. And then the book on the right, Don't Make Me Think, that's the Bible of UI UX, or user experience, user interface. Essentially, it's like taking away cognitive loads and replacing it with motor loads. Very, very good book if you're a report designer. If you wanted to know more technical Power BI, we have these books, right? Analyzing Data with Power BI, The Definitive Guide to DAX using Power Query. Warning, they're very hard to read. Okay, unlike the first three books, this is highly, highly technical. Put you to sleep really fast. But if you give it a try, this is how you become like a Power BI programmer. And finally, for data storytelling, my favorite book is Brent Dykes' Effective Data Storytelling. My definition of an insight actually comes from that book. Right? I use a little different words, but he inspired me. And even Nancy Duarte jumped in the whole data storytelling game. She just released that book last year, and it ended up on Harvard Business Review's top 20 books on the year it came out. Right? So, yeah, all this insider information I'm giving you, hopefully, it inspires some of you to take an interest in data visualization and data storytelling. And for those of you that do want to become an analyst or a data visualizer, well, I hope these hot tips will give you an edge, leg up when you start your jobs.